gonna stay in your room!
But Daddy!
You're gonna stay in your room and think about what you've done!
The 1990s were the golden age of Saturday morning television. Every weekend felt like a ritual, a bowl of cereal, pajamas until noon, and a marathon of Nickelodeon, Fox Kids, and Cartoon Network shows that defined our childhoods. It was an era when cartoons weren't just background noise, they were cultural events. Kids argued over who was cooler, Leonardo or Michelangelo, Pinky or the Brain, Doug or Skeeter. We memorized theme songs, quoted catchphrases, and even recorded our favorite on VHS tapes so we could rewind them 100 times. But in between all that greatness were the other ones. The characters who somehow snuck into our favorite shows and made us groan the instant they appeared. They weren't just forgettable, they were unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. These are the loudmouths, the whiners, the sidekicks that overstayed their welcome. The cartoon characters that every 90s kid hated, whether they'll admit it or not. So grab your Pop-Tarts and your patience because we're counting down 10 cartoon characters that 90s kids couldn't stand. Starting at number 10, Hubert Farnsworth. When Futurama launched in 1999, it was smart, funny, and full of lovable weirdos. Bender, Fry, Leela, Zoidberg, each quirky but charming. Then came Hubert Farnsworth, the professor's cloned son. Hubert was meant to parody the annoying child genius trope, but he took it to the next level. He spent most of his debut episode insulting the rest of the cast and nitpicking the show's science, literally breaking the fourth wall to mock Futurama itself. Fans didn't find that clever. They found it obnoxious. Viewers wanted more adventures through space, not a kid screaming, "None of this makes sense."
That's it, Brett. You've compressed our lunches to a singularity for the last time. Salt him, Dwight.
Even the creators later admitted they'd gone too far. Hubert was intentionally irritating, but he accidentally became too good at it. He faded into the background after season 1, and few fans ever asked where he went. Hubert proved a universal truth. Nobody wants a smug know-it-all, even in space. Number 9, Cousin Skeeter. Nickelodeon was on fire in the late 90s. Kenan and Kel, All That, The Amanda Show. But Cousin Skeeter was one of those what were they thinking moments. The premise wasn't bad. A quiet kid's life is turned upside down when his loud, confident cousin moves in. Except that cousin was a puppet. A full-on felt, blinking, talking puppet. The show never explained it. Nobody ever said, "Hey, why is your cousin made of foam?" He just existed.
I'm Skeeter, Gemini. I tell you what a superstar I am, but my friend Michael Jordan told me never to drop names.
For kids, that was equal parts weird and unsettling. And Skeeter himself? Loud, arrogant, always shouting. Like he was performing in the back row of a stadium. He'd interrupt every scene, steal every moment, and somehow make every situation worse. Skeeter was supposed to be cool, but by the second episode, most viewers were rooting for him to take a long nap in a toy box somewhere. Nickelodeon tried something bold, but for many 90s kids, Skeeter was proof that not every cool character deserves a catchphrase. Number 8, Baby Plucky Duck. Every show needs comic relief. Tiny Toon Adventures gave us Baby Plucky, and a generation of children discovered what true irritation felt like. His toddler logic was spot on, his delivery funny at first, but by the 10th time he yelled, "I push the button," or flushed something down the toilet, it crossed into nightmare territory. The jokes were supposed to show the chaos of childhood, and they did, too well. For parents and older kids, Baby Plucky was the embodiment of that one toddler at the grocery store having a meltdown in aisle 3.
Wanna play Minister Golf. Wanna hit the blue ball down the hole.
He was funny because we'd all been him at some point, but that didn't make him easier to watch. In hindsight, Baby Plucky's episodes were ahead of their time. Meme-worthy, quotable, and painfully relatable. But back in the 90s, when Saturday mornings were sacred, he was the one segment everyone used to refill their cereal. Number 7, Mindy. Okay, I love you, bye-bye. For Animaniacs fans, that sentence is either nostalgic or traumatic. Mindy and her faithful dog Buttons starred in recurring shorts where she'd wander off, nearly get herself killed, and Buttons would save her at the last second, only to get blamed for the destruction she caused. It was cute the first few times, then it became the same joke on repeat. While Yakko and Wacko were delivering razor-sharp parodies and musical numbers about world capitals, Mindy was falling off cliffs and wandering into construction sites again. Even the writers joked that she was basically a looped cartoon sketch that never evolved. Fans begged for more Slappy Squirrel, Good Feathers, or the Warners. Anything but another round of Where's Mindy Now? She wasn't evil, she wasn't mean, she was just exhausting. And when an entire fan base cheers the dog getting the last laugh, you know the formula's worn out. Number 6, Mr. Dink. Every kid show has an adult character who tries way too hard. Doug had Mr. Dink, the overenthusiastic neighbor who was basically a walking dad joke. He'd pop over uninvited wearing his purple polo and saying, "Hello, Douglas," before bragging about his latest very expensive gadget.
Well, let's see. Why, that'll be 12 years ago next Tuesday. Boy, has it been that long already.
Lawnmowers, video cameras, golf clubs, didn't matter what it was, he had one and he needed you to know. To a kid audience, Mr. Dink was awkward, loud, and a little creepy. He was a cartoon version of that one adult who'd corner you at a barbecue to show you his new leaf blower. Even Doug seemed perpetually uncomfortable around him, which made the dynamic unintentionally hilarious. Looking back, he was harmless, but to 90s kids who just wanted to see Doug draw Quailman comics and pine over patty mayonnaise, Mr. Dink was a human equivalent of a commercial break you couldn't skip. Smack in the middle at number 5, we have Elmyra Duff. If there's one lesson Elmyra Duff taught us, it's that too much cute can be terrifying. She started as the overly affectionate animal lover from Tiny Toons, smothering everything that moved. But when Pinky and the Brain ended its original run, the network decided to freshen things up by moving the mice into Elmyra's house.
Mercury is closest to the sun.
Once again?
Mercury is closest to the sun.
Fans were furious. Pinky and the Brain was one of the smartest, sharpest cartoons of the decade, and suddenly the geniuses were babysitting a shrieking girl who thought mice were dolls? The backlash was so bad that the new theme song literally mocked the network, singing, "It's what the network wants, why bother to complain?" Elmyra didn't just ruin two beloved characters, she became the symbol of executives not understanding their audience. She wasn't the villain the show needed, she was the villain behind the scenes that fans never forgave. Sometimes the scariest monster in a cartoon isn't a villain, it's a character nobody wanted in the first place. Next at number 4, Snarf. Long before the term Scrappy-Doo energy existed, there was Snarf. The original Thundercats aired in the mid-80s, but its reruns dominated early 90s afternoons. And while Lino and the crew were busy battling mutants and monsters, Snarf was usually in the corner panicking. He was supposed to be comic relief, a quirky caretaker for the team, but his nervous battling and endless snarf snarf catchphrases wore fans down fast.
Keep moving! We're almost out of the mine!
Even the other characters seemed tired of him. By the time the reboot came around, the writers drastically reduced his dialogue, a silent apology to generations of annoyed viewers. Snarf is a great example of how every era has that one mascot the studio insists is lovable, but audiences collectively decide isn't. For 90s kids watching on Cartoon Network, Snarf wasn't just a sidekick, he was the reason you hit the remote. Number 3, Orko. If Snarf was the king of annoying sidekicks, Orko was the wizard apprentice. He floated, he fumbled, and he failed every time. Orko's magic tricks were supposed to add humor to He-Man, but by the 90s reruns, most kids were yelling, "Just stop talking" at the screen. He'd ruin He-Man's plans, lose the magic spell, or accidentally turn someone into a frog.
Now we're cooking.
And then to top it off, he'd stare into the camera and deliver a moral lesson about friendship. To be fair, Orko was meant for younger viewers, a comic relief who softened the serious tone. But by the time the 90s rolled around, audiences wanted sarcasm and action, not clumsy charm. Even diehard fans have admitted that if Eternia had one real villain, it wasn't Skeletor, it was Orko's sense of timing. Winding down at number 2, Angelica Pickles. Few characters were as universally loathed, yet strangely admired, as Angelica Pickles. She was the bully of Nickelodeon, loud, spoiled, and constantly scheming against babies who couldn't fight back. Every time you saw her stomping down the hall clutching Cynthia, you knew chaos was coming. To kids, Angelica was pure evil. She made Tommy cry, tricked Chucky, and tattled on everyone to the adults. But from a storytelling standpoint, she was perfect. She gave Rugrats its edge, that tiny dose of danger in an otherwise innocent show. In some ways, Angelica represented something real, the kid you actually knew growing up.
And you're gonna stay in your room!
But Daddy!
You're gonna stay in your room and think about what you've done!
Well, I did it. I actually did.
The cousin or neighbor who made your life miserable, but was somehow still invited to every party. Rewatching as adults, many fans see how clever she was now. Manipulative, imaginative, even layered, but back then, she was the enemy. Angelica was every kid's first introduction to the concept of the villain you love to hate. And that makes her one of the most iconic and despised cartoon characters of the decade. And our number 1 most hated cartoon character goes to Scrappy-Doo. Was there ever any doubt who would take the top spot? I mean, come on, Scrappy-Doo isn't just the most hated cartoon character in the 90s, he might be the most hated of all time. Even though he debuted in 1979, Scrappy haunted 90s kids through reruns, VHS tapes, and direct-to-video movies. Whenever Scooby-Doo went, there was Scrappy, yelling "Puppy Power!" and charging headfirst into trouble.
Ta-da-da-da-da-da! Puppy power!
Scrappy?
He was supposed to save the franchise, to bring youthful energy to a tired formula. Instead, he became the formula for how to ruin one. Fans hated his overconfidence, his constant need for attention, and his ability to derail every mystery in 5 minutes flat. It got so bad that even the Scooby-Doo creators turned on him. In the 2002 live-action film, Scrappy was literally the villain, a desperate, attention-seeking maniac. That's how deep the resentment ran. When your own franchise writes you out and makes you evil, you've reached legendary status. Scrappy wasn't just annoying, he was unforgettable, the patron saint of cartoon overkill. So congratulations, Scrappy, you're #1, just not in the way you'd hoped. Looking back, it's funny how much these cartoon characters stand out. For every Bugs Bunny or Tommy Pickles that shaped our childhoods, there was a Scrappy or Angelica there to test our patience. But here's the thing, we remember them. We might have hated them then, but now, their voices, their catchphrases, even their theme songs instantly transport us back to being kids again. Cartoons have always needed balance. Heroes and villains, laughter and irritation, chaos and calm. These characters filled that gap, even if it made us yell at the TV. And maybe that's why we secretly love them today, because every great memory from the 90s includes at least one thing we couldn't stand, and somehow that just makes it more real. So here's to the characters who drove us crazy. Without them, the good ones wouldn't shine quite as bright.